On a quiet night in 1983, deep inside a Soviet bunker, a single word began to flash on a screen. Launch. A siren screamed. A young officer stared at the light and decided to do nothing. History may owe him everything. The year is 1983. The Cold War is colder than ever. Just weeks earlier, a civilian airliner is shot down. Leaders trade threats. Militaries rattle sabers. Each side has thousands of nuclear warheads ready to fly, and each minute feels like a coin toss between peace and catastrophe. In a bunker outside Moscow, codenamed Serpukhov 15, the Soviet Union has a new early warning system. Satellites watch the curve of the Earth, looking for the first glow of American missiles rising from their silos. If the system spots a launch, it alerts command. Command confirms, then retaliates. That's the game theory. That's deterrence. And on the night of September 26, 1983, the duty officer is a 44-year-old engineer named Stanislav Petrov. He's trained, methodical, and maybe most important, suspicious of anything that seems too certain. Just after midnight, the room is routine hum, voices low, coffee cooling. Then a siren, hard, metallic, cuts the air. On a monitor, in red, a verdict appears. Launch. The system says a missile has lifted off from the United States. Protocol is simple. Log the detection, call it up the chain, prepare for confirmation, brace for a retaliatory strike. But Petrov doesn't move. He knows how these satellites work. He knows what a real first strike would probably look like. Not one missile, but many. Seconds stretch. The screen insists, high reliability. And then, worse, the system reports a second missile. Then a third. Then a fourth and fifth. 5 in total. The bunker tightens. Faces blanch. Someone whispers, "It's happening." Petrov feels the weight of 100,000 lives in the bones of his fingers. If he reports this as an attack, the next calls trigger rockets, submarines, bombers, the whole machine that was built precisely for this moment. He asks the question that matters. Does this make sense? He knows the satellite constellation is new. He knows ground-based radar should confirm within minutes, but those minutes will feel like inhaling glass. And he knows that a real U.S. first strike would likely involve hundreds of missiles, not 5 lonely spears crossing the pole. Petrov looks at the operators. He hears the siren again, inhuman, insistent. He thinks of his wife, his apartment, the quiet bus rides to work. He thinks of the doctrine he learned. Trust the system. He thinks of everything he knows about systems. They fail. In that moment, he chooses a different doctrine. Trust your judgment. Petrov picks up the phone to report the satellite warning not as an attack, but as a false alarm. He puts his name on that decision. He signs for it with his career. They wait. If the system is right, ground radar will soon see the Americans coming over the horizon. If it is wrong, the horizon will remain empty. The room watches a clock. Petrov tries not to. He keeps hearing the phantom siren long after it goes silent. A colleague mutters a prayer he hasn't said since childhood. Another pretends to check a cable that doesn't need checking. 1 minute. 2. 3. No radar confirmation. No blips. No apocalypse. The operators begin breathing again. Someone laughs, too loud. The tension breaks so quickly it feels like a trick of the light. The alert clears. The world stays. Later investigations point to a rare alignment. Sunlight, high-altitude clouds, and the geometry of geostationary satellites. A perfect mirage. To the new system, the reflection looked just like missiles rising from American silos. It wasn't malice. It wasn't even a bug. It was the universe, playing a statistical joke at the worst possible time, one that only a human being could catch. Petrov does not get a parade. He fills out forms. He is reprimanded for how he documented the incident. He goes home. He makes tea. He keeps doing his job. Years pass. Eventually, reporters find him. Historians piece together the night. People begin to say, this officer may have saved the world. Maybe that's dramatic. Or maybe it's precise. Here is what we know. In a room built to turn data into fire, a human being gave the world what machines cannot: context, skepticism, and time. So what do we do with a story like this? We remember that our most powerful systems still ask us the oldest question: do we understand what we're seeing? On that night, in 1983, one man answered, "Not yet." And because he did, you are hearing this sentence. You've just heard a story that almost nobody tells. If you want more like this, the best way is simple. Like this video and subscribe. That one click tells me to keep digging.